Hello there and welcome to this special edition of the Vodacom Diski Chats. Yes, it is the big one. It's the grand finale, an opportunity for us to look back at what's been probably one of the best seasons in the DStv Premiership, well, in the PSL actually, maybe not so dramatic in the DStv Premiership, given how emphatic the winning margin was. But there's still so much to talk about and so much to look back on. My name is Thabiso Tema. It's good to have you along. And with me, wow, we have assembled some of the best brains in the game, and they all have an opinion, no doubt. And we are going to be chatting to them about their highlights and just get a sense, really, of what the season was. To kick us off, let's go with the coach. It makes sense. Shorty, good to have you with us. Let me, first of all, before I even get you to give me a highlight of it, overall, how would you rate this season?
I think it was a very improved season, simply because we saw teams breaking records, individual records in their own clubs, and also teams that were struggling from, I think it's the first time in the PSL, well, that I know of, and remember, you would know this even more, where a team started at the bottom and they end up at the bottom from match one up until the very end. That is Cape Town Spurs, because I've seen teams, fluctuate there, go 15th, 13th, and then go back down. But they've stayed there. And yeah, I think everyone else was trying their best to give us new trends, to give us new players, unearth new players, the coaches jumping back and forth. But the momentum was really great. It's just that Mamelodi Sundowns said, you can keep trying. We are still there and breaking barriers and going for the sky, maybe even above the sky.
Absolutely. The sky is no limit for Mamelodi Sundowns. Yeah, that could be a whole discussion on its own about what Sundowns has achieved. But let's bring in a blast from the past here. Daniel Bennett.
How are you, Thabiso?
It is good to see you, man. Are you well?
See you again. I'm very well, man. Very
Awesome,
cool,
awesome, man. I want we get your moment as well. But something I've always wondered is the game from a referee's point of view. I know what your job is primarily, is to enforce the laws of the game and all of that. But do you get a sense, and even in your preparation, how do you watch the game? Do you get a sense for the tactical nuances of the game and all of that? And does that even play a role in how where you position yourself and all of that within a game?
Absolutely. I mean, especially Victor's also, he will attest that when we went to, especially CAF matches, you'd have to know how Al-Ali play and how Esperance play. They have two different formations, two different styles of play. And you've got to understand that from a referee's perspective, not only to manage the players and their temperaments, because North Africa, the players are very temperamental, but also adjust to the styles of play. When a team goes 1-0 up or 2-0 up, whatever, they change their tactics and their stats, and you have to, as a referee, also adapt, because not only are you an enforcer of the laws of the game, you've got to be in the right position at the right time. But you also, we've got two legends of the game here, Siyabonga and Dikhan. You've also got to have a relationship with the players, because if you've got the players on your side, they're going to play for you. If you don't have them on your side, then they're going to be arguing and contesting you all the time. So you also need to understand which players are nuisances and which players you can actually get on your side to help you control the match.
Who are the nuisances?
I was asked this, I did a blog for CS Duplessis.
Yeah.
And he asked me who was the most problematic player I've ever refereed, and it was actually a player from outside of our country, who was Adebayo in the 2013 AFCON. But in this country, I think for sure, Roy Mahamutsa. Yeah, so bit of a problem to handle, yeah.
I think the opponents would say the same thing about Roy, actually. Come to think of it. Actually, now that you've mentioned Victor, let's bring Victor in. Let's get a mic to Victor. And I want to get your impressions, especially because now you've had a front row view of things. You've had every week you've had to go and analyze what the referees have done this year. Hey, the referees got a hard time this season. Fair, unfair? Can you give us an honest answer to that?
Yeah, abusheni titi.
Vukile but.
Vukile swinene. Yeah, who does not make a mistake in life? Coaches make mistakes, referees make mistakes, everyone make mistakes.
Commentators make mistakes.
Commentators make mistakes. Recently, they just said Shine got a yellow card, and he did not
And
get a
he
yellow
didn't,
card.
yeah.
So, yeah, we were challenged too much. So such that every week they were writing about us, talking about us. We had lots of challenges. So, but the most important thing is we delivered the champions. When I look at the gap of 23 points, I'm like, oh, referees have done well here. They've delivered the champions. Yeah, but maybe 15 to 30% yes.
Yeah.
But the champion was delivered fairly so.
Yeah.
If you look at the margin, it tells us we have done well. It was not as bad as people think. Mistakes were there, we acknowledge. But the champions were delivered. Now we are in the playoffs. We want to deliver the one that must go down. Cape Town Spurs went down.
Yeah.
They never complained. They went down nicely. The champions given.
No one
Their complaints was not, it doesn't carry much water.
Yeah.
But now we're now going to the playoffs. The first one went very well, 1-0 for Pretoria Tax. So far so good. We have done well so far, TT.
Okay, you gave me the kind of answer I expected you to give me, but that's fine. But I think the broader point that you make is a fair one, in that if you look at the entire season, you cannot really say that the referees' blunders were decisive, especially in a league where the champions are 23 points ahead of everyone else. And look, the thing about mistakes is that they stand out because they're abnormal. They're an aberration. The normal thing that happens in a game is for things to flow. So a mistake sticks out, That's why everybody will forget about what Mutobi Mvala did the whole of the season and remember what he did in the last game of the season. That's just the way it goes. All right, having said that, let's get into it. Let me start with you, Terminator, Takama Balani. Let's get you get the ball rolling for us. Your moment of the season, it doesn't have to be, as in a moment of play. It could be just something that you thought was key and, that you thought had a turning point for, one or other team, but that you just think sticks out in your mind.
Thanks, Titi. Let me start with, I think for me, Stellenbosch was a surprise one. In terms of, the record as well. To achieve that, I think for a team that was, comprised of youngsters for that matter, younger players, to achieve that, I think that was something to commend. But my opinion is of Sundowns dominance and Pirates suddenly winning 2 cups. And Ratseba Pirates, the supporters starting are very happy right now. But is that what they take as success? Would they consider that success? And that goes for Sundowns as well. Sundowns dominance has been in the league, same as this season, the 7th one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And my thing is, is that enough? Is that what, not only the Sundowns supporters, but the man at the helm, Rulani, would he be happy with that? Would the Sundowns fans be happy? And I saw one fan on social media, and he was ranting about, but we want leagues. He was not happy, when they lost the Nedbank Cup. I think that triggered the emotions. I don't know, we hear cups here, cups there, cups there. No, Arsabatadi Cup. We are tired of cups. The league. The league. Sorry, we're tired of the league. We win the league all the time. We want the Champions League. So there's more, I think, for Sundowns. For me, that's where I think that's what stood out. Where is that success? Do Sundowns consider that as success for them? Are they happy with that? And will Pirates catch up and maybe win the league? Will the league make them, bringing them back to the success, the successful team that they are? So I think that for me is still a question I have.
I'm glad you're the one asking it, because then you give us an answer from a player's point of view. You were part of a double treble Orlando Pirates squad.
Thank you, thank you.
Had
Still
you
stands,
guys,
ne? Still stands, that record. Okay, sure. Yeah.
Had you guys missed out on the league or missed out on one of those cups in the second? In fact, let's start it with the first year when you won the first treble. If one of those was missing, would it have been a bad season? Would it have been a flop? What was the target that you guys? I don't think you set your target of winning a treble.
Yeah, personally, I wanted the league. You know, as a player for my career, I've always wanted the league. I mean, cups for me, I've won cups before Pirates, so I would think cups. Anyone can win the cup. I think, you know. Yeah, if you have a good run, I mean, you can win a cup.
You have to win 4 matches. Actually, you don't even have to win 4 matches.
So cups are not like the ultimate for most players, for most teams. So I think you have to aim for the best, the highest, I think, accolade. You know, and at this point, I think Champions League would be that. You know, we know how to start. That's the one. You know, if Ototi, yes, with cups, I understand, but I think more than anything, the league is a marathon. So that's a big thing for you to maintain for the whole season and to win that marathon. I think it's a big one. But now when you add cups into that, I think that also adds, puts the cherry on top. So hence the treble was special. So I think for me, that's okay, what I base success on.
All right. Now I just wondered it from somebody who has been in a position where you've won it all. I mean, basically missed out on 1 trophy on both those seasons. Let's move it on to Bazola. Yeah.
I'm itching
to jump in on that
to
one.
respond.
Go for it.
Yeah.
In terms of, has it been of course it's a debate that has been happening on social media.
Yeah, and I think
who had the better season?
I think it's an extremely unfair to pose a question also whether Sundowns or the coach particularly has been successful. The DStv Premiership is the bread and butter of all the teams, 16 teams. You know, even in the lower divisions right now as we speak, there's promotion playoffs for them to get there. You don't win that or finish second, you don't get in the Champions League. You don't get the ranking from a CAF point of view to be able to be considered in the now newly found African Football League. You know, the coach in its first year wins, you know, playing against top opposition who, like them, have a high ranking on the continent and make, they make a small matter out of playing against those opposition. Yes, it's not a lot of games. What is it? 3 games to get to the final and win 77 million rands. Forget the money part, but obviously the prestige that comes with it. And then on top of that, you still are able to go 29 games unbeaten. You lose on the last day when you've only really you are doing it for the record books, where you won the league 6-7 games ago. So I think when people look at it from that point of view, it must be a success. I mean, the coach himself made an example about his counterparts either on the continent or in Europe, that they'll spend a number of years at one club and only get to win it once. Pitso Mosimane himself was 8 years at Sundowns, won it once. Yes, there's 11 trophies overall in that tenure, but he won the Champions League once. So it's not easy as well. So I don't know, but I also think it's Coach Rulani Mukwena and the Sundowns fans have this love-hate relationship. So if something goes wrong, he's attacked. But at the same time, I understand the investment that's made. But to answer Dikgang, I think it's a success. You've done the double, continental plus domestic, and you've done it. You made your rivals look like they were not even competing.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Do you want to?
Done the double who? Rulani. Champions League.
AFL.
Okay.
Does it?
It's a
But
it's a trophy in the season.
Does the Callum? What did they used to call it? The Callum Black Label Cup. Is that a cup? Does it count?
But this is an official CAF competition. It's stretched by CAF and it.
It is, but like I kind of feel like what was snuck in there on us, and no one kind of knows how it works and who qualifies.
But do you know that if it were to return this season and there's more teams to enter, Chiefs would enter ahead of Pirates?
Well, yes. If the new, this is the thing. No one was ever clear about what the qualification criteria was for the EFL. I don't think it was ever clearly explained.
This past season is different.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it was just a pilot project.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it goes back to the conversation and the importance of the league, the Champions League in this case, that you can win the MTN 8, you can win the Nedbank Cup, which will take to have conferred. But if you are not in the league and Champions League space, then that's not there. But I think, for me, the point just also goes back to football education. We come from a background where we were excluded from international football, and then we're just playing football domestically. And cups or league, there was no differentiation in terms of what you achieve, as long as you've won a trophy. But now, being in this space where you have to value the national championship, looking at 30 games, 10 months period that you go through, but also the prestige of being a South African champion. And I think the fans now, and I think also the dominance of Sundowns has put the fans of the other clubs to a situation where, you know what, let's just win something.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, let's just win something. We can't reach these people, 7 league titles in a row now. So as long as you just win something. So I think this is where we are. And because this Pirates team, to be honest, last season, second round, 35 points from a possible 45. You know, and you look at even this season, I think they lost only 3 games in the second round in all competitions. So there's something that they're pushing, but as Coach Jose Rivero says, they are cooking against a points machine. You know, so I think there's some elements, and you know, Sundowns fans are also spoiled.
Yeah.
You know.
That's what success does.
Sundowns fans are also spoiled. So I think for me, if maybe there's something that really had to challenge or question Rulani on, is not reaching the final of the Champions League, but not a domestic competition.
No. Because would the same Sundowns fan, I wonder, given a choice, would you rather be Pirates or would you rather be Sundowns that has gone 29 matches undefeated?
Titi, you know, I'm looking at it as a child that's from the township. Both of us are from the township. But you go to Masakane High School and he goes to St. Thesians, which is a higher level of education. You are expected to get 10 distinctions out of 9 subjects that you are doing. And the other one is expected to pass. And when the one that has more resources and is invested on is automatically generally expected to go beyond and above, forgetting that they're also human beings, forgetting that they have challenges at home, they're forgetting all of those things. But on the contrary as well, you are bound to get 9, 10 distinctions out of the 9 subjects that you are doing because of the level of teaching, the level of resources that you have access to, the timing of the resources, and how accessible is it for you to build a culture of excelling. So if you take the child that comes from the township and you put her in that environment, they might struggle a little bit. But the child that has already been in a school that is between the township and St. Thesians, or a school that is higher level, and they are used to that, you put them there, that is Rulani. The child that has an advantage of knowing what does it mean to be in a multiracial school where there's more resources and all of that. Once they are in that higher level school, they are expected to move very high and sharp and quickly, forgetting that they still need to adjust into an environment they are fully in charge of. So those are the the unfairness that comes into it. And on the other side, I think 2 seasons or a season ago, it was that thing, FIFA Fair Play and all of that. Sundowns has all the money. They bring in all these quality players and all of that. And I think Mazola would know more to say, what is the reasoning behind it to say we have to go all over the world, get the best players, whatever money we need to spend because of our jam-packed calendar and schedule. So Sundowns, unfortunately for them, you keep winning, you'll be hated on because I'll hate you if I can't get to your level. But it must be sensible hating that comes there. It mustn't be now attacking the person because of the excellence that they are bringing into the picture and all of that. And anybody, the fans have been saying that, look, 1 billion club, all of that is for you people as players, as management and all of that. As fans, we want the cups. The trophies is what translates to us more than anything. And I think the Sundowns fans have been sitting out there and saying, "Aye, one is not enough with all the money that we've spent." And they're saying one, looking at the AFL, because the league for them, they no longer count it because it's standard procedure of the culture that is at Sundowns.
All right, let me try and put us back on track. Nkareng, let's get you now to get us started on the discussion around the moment of the season. If you want to have a broader point about the season overall, please be my guest. But then I'd like you to also just share your moment of the season.
Yeah, my moment obviously involves Sundowns, and I've listened to colleagues talking about the success and all that. So my moment was when they went to Orlando in September and won 1-0. They went there on the back of a winning start. I think they had beaten about 7 or 8 teams. So we expected that when they get to Orlando, perhaps that's where we'll see the difference between them and Pirates, whether the gap is closing. They go there, I think 12th minute, they scored a penalty via Lucas Ribeiro. And they held on to win 1-0. So for me, the league was decided that day.
Wow.
Because we expected Pirates to stop them. Remember the previous season, they had that good run that Velile was talking about, 35 out of 45 points. So, but then when they lost the home game to a team that they are supposed to stop, I felt that the league is done.
Yeah, in September.
Yes, because they had beaten everybody before, and we had said, no, Pirates are the ones, then they can stop them. And they didn't. And then going back to the discussion about whether success and Champions League, remember that Pirates are happy now. They won 2 cups. But at the beginning of the year, they lost to Jwaneng Galaxy in the Champions League. Sundowns didn't have those problems. They managed to get through the group stages and all that. The Champions League is tough, eh?
Yeah.
That's why Man City in Europe, they couldn't defend. It's a tough competition everywhere. There's no easy Champions League.
I think the CAF Champions League is probably the toughest.
It's the toughest with the
of them
traveling
all.
and all. Yes. Yeah. So it's very tough. To reach the semi-final, it's not something that you should look down on. And remember, Sundowns should have lost to that Tanzanian club. That club scored a goal in Pretoria. So they should have lost that.
They benefited.
Yes. So it's tough. If it's so easy, I mean, to celebrate the Nedbank Cup, let Pirates go to the Champions League next season. Let's see if they can compete on equal footing.
And play 3 games in a week.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough. So the thing of Rulani not reaching that thing is tough. Sundowns have reached only one final. That's the one they won under Pito in the last season. Before that, it had been 2000, 2001. So that should show you how tough it is to compete and still establish a gap of 23 points domestically. They lost the Carling Black Label to Galaxy, and they didn't have players because they were in the FIFA week. So these are the challenges that come with playing for Sundowns. You can cite resources and all that. Resources don't play football. You need somebody to be guiding those players to select the teams and all. And I think it was the referee who said earlier that people make mistakes. So coaches will make mistakes. They will make mistakes. They will select the wrong teams. We saw that's how the players made a mistake. Also in the last match, Mvala made a mistake. So it's going to happen. But there's no team in this country that can match Sundowns in terms of what they are achieving, playing here, going there. And it is not only about the resources. It's also about the mentality, the players being committed to the cause, being able to take that workload and say. And remember, we also had the Africa Cup of Nations. How many players did we have from Sundowns? Yeah. So how did we expect them to do so well? They just deflated now in the last part of the season. But to do this over a long period like this, I think it's commendable, and we have to give them credit.
And we're Club World Cup next season.
Yeah. Absolutely. The last part of what you said is so important there, that what what this season actually misses, especially those Sundowns fans that are saying it's not enough to get one. It's like they forget. If you look at that that unbeaten run, it's not the season only. It goes back to last season. How many matches are we talking?
Yes.
So, yeah.
Was it 50
So
or
50
something?
something.
Yeah,
We're talking about
51 or so.
54 or something crazy.
Yeah,
like
so
that,
we sitting here, we need to educate the fans.
Yeah.
I mean, somebody mentioned the fans are impatient and also spoiled. I think it's a reality. But remember that Sundowns go back from that culture of firing Risto Squeshko, of Westerhoff, all those coaches were chased out in the stadium. So they want to go back there. And Piso had succeeded in stabilizing that. So we cannot allow a situation whereby we do not educate the fans. And they look only at the results now, forgetting at the beginning of the season, Pirates fans were the ones who were turning against their coach until they won that MTN 8 final. But they had lost to Jwaneng Galaxy in the Champions League. So we need to educate the fans, and they can do better.
Okay, move the mic along there to Mpo right next to you. Hello, Mpo, my boy.
Greetings, sir.
Yeah, your take.
Are you asking about my take overall in the season or my moment?
Yeah, it would be unfair not to let you also have your overall take. So, if you want to start there, yeah, or you can.
My take of the season is that it has been very fascinating and still entertaining, but at the same time, I think even with us, we have gotten so used to the Sundowns dominance that even from a journalistic and broadcast perspective, we almost just expect Sundowns to win. And we do not give them that credit that they deserve. As you were saying rightfully now with Nkareng, we actually forget that from a Sundowns perspective, they don't even have an off-season. How about the off-season? You know, right now, when everyone else is resting, they have 6 players now that have joined Bafana Bafana at camp. Coach Hugo Bruce was complaining about injuries. You know what I mean? So when you have players that are constantly on the go, you have to literally say, you know what, that is a success. You know, it's almost like saying, for instance, sorry to bring the Premier League, that Manchester City did not have a successful season because they didn't win the UEFA Champions League. At the end of the day, they did set their own record, which is 4th Premier League title on the trot. So that is Sundowns' success for this season. And like I said as well, we also forget that they also managed to qualify for the Club World Cup next year. So there's so much that they've achieved this year. But overall, my moment this season, I thought we always complaining about lack of youngsters, and I feel like this was the season of youngsters, and true youngsters, because sometimes there was a point where we would say 25, 26 years old
youngster.
This was the season of the youngster. You know what I mean? We had just spoken earlier about Stellies, who've done phenomenally well with youngsters, true youngsters. You know, a Rile who has put up his hand at Orlando Pirates and said, listen, I'm not only going to dominate in the Soweto Derby, I'm also going to dominate when it comes to the Nedbank Cup, come off the bench and win it for them. So I'm liking the fact that this was a true season of the youngster, and I'm hoping that we don't regress, we don't get to a point where we allow them to grow up while not bringing in more youngsters, if I'm making sense.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's bring in Sia there and get your thoughts. I want to get your thoughts, if we're talking overall. If I want to start you off there and start you off on a painful note as a Kaizer Chiefs legend. We've spoken about 23 points being the gap between first and second this season. What was the gap between Chiefs? Chiefs still consider themselves Sundowns rivals, or they consider themselves probably to some extent an even bigger rival these days than Pirates. You know, in the extent of the better rivalry. What is going on with that gap there? I mean, just share your thoughts.
Firstly, when it comes to Sundowns, when you get so much success and consecutively, you end up now not competing with the other rivals or with your rivals,
But now it's about grading your own self within. And I think that's what's happening with the fans now, grading themselves, grading the team on their own and having expectations, not against anybody else, but against themselves. And it becomes now a big challenge for the coach, for the players, because you can't compare with anything else, you know. You just have to keep shooting higher. And whatever that you haven't achieved yourself, you have to try and achieve it, which is, in this case, the Champions League. That is coaches Rulani's main target, based on the fact that there's just that expectation within the club and not in comparison with the other team. They don't care about the other teams anymore, because to them there's no competition. But overall, when it comes to where we are, and you touched on the other teams, one of the teams that I played for, where we are in terms of the dominance that Sundowns have had over the years, I think the other teams have fallen away, and Sundowns has done very well in that. Leagues are won based on eras. So there's a certain era that defines who wins the league. That particular era, within maybe 5 years or 3 years, it defines who wins the league. Like, for instance, there's an era of big budgets. Then certain teams then are able to win the leagues. You've seen about Man City, you've seen Sundowns before. But there's era of what? Good, solid recruitment, recruiting rough diamonds and putting them together and winning the league. The likes of Manchester United have done that very well with about Arsene Wenger before. In that era, it was about rough diamonds, polishing them and getting them into shape, and then winning leagues. Kevin Hunt has won the league 3 times with SuperSport United. It was that era, an era of putting, not really so much quality, if I may put it, not so much. It wasn't based on recruiting cream of the cream of the crop. It was an era of putting a good team together that's going to work well with one another. Now, some teams blend that very well. You make an example, Real Madrid. That's why there's such sustainability, because they can blend, the trends at the moment with their culture, the culture that constantly continues. Sundowns, I think they've done that very well as well, to blend an era and the demands of a certain era with their culture, which gives them an identity, because we know their culture. Other teams have failed in that, because the culture speaks to your recruitment. It speaks to what you look for, because you're the only one who knows. In your family, you're the only one who knows your culture, not anyone else. So in whatever you go and recruit, you're informed by that culture. And if you recruit wrong, if you step away from that, even if you have a huge budget, you're not going to be able to achieve the success. So I think that has been the problem, and many teams haven't been able to catch on to try and sort of close the gap. Well, should I get into my moment of the season? I think that issue around Swallows losing the 6 points, which I think they went to Sundowns 3, which they didn't really need, but it saved them the legs. Then Arrows 3, if you look at how the league ended, now those 3 points, we don't know what would have happened, but we expect that Sundowns would have won. It would have let's say they didn't win that game, or Swallows competed for a draw, it would have changed the total number of points, which speaks to what? The record. But you can't discredit Sundowns for that. But I'm just painting a picture that that particular situation had an impact at the top, which we expect the Sundowns would have got the 73 points in any case. But as the case is right now, they didn't play the game, and the points were awarded to Sundowns. On the lower part of the log, Arrows got the 3 points also. And if you look at where they ended on what, 38 points. At that time, when they got the points, they had been on a 10-game run or something of that just losses. And that also helped them a little bit, because if they had lost against Swallows, they would have been dragged further down into the relegation zone, and then they would have gotten desperate, and then Coach Steve would have found a situation that he would have had to approach differently, and we don't know what the results would have been. And now, that particular, I think, in a way, not very much at the top, but in the relegation situation, I think that had a major impact, because if you look at Swallows as well, on the challenge that they faced when they lost all these players, but then they had to now go through an adaptation. So it speaks to the coach as well, because it improved the Musa Nyadama. It made him a better coach, because he's had to make do with these players. Certain players have had to fill in certain different positions, improve the players, got some players to have a bit of versatility in them. So there's just a lot to think about when it comes to that. But they, with the hustle in them, they were able to come out of that situation, and that's something to model with from the other teams. You know, barring the issues in the boardroom, that's for Abo Velile to discuss. But when it comes to infield, let me just finish with the infield, because the off the field is political. I just want to finish. I'll give you, then you can go after. You can go to the boardroom. But when it comes to now how the players adapted, the type of character that they showed, the coach, because then it was a challenge for a young coach now getting developed in that type of a situation, which I'm hoping that they'll keep him in the next season. The same situation at Royal AM as well. It has improved John Maduga, it has improved the players, because they've had to be versatile. So I think that was very crucial in also determining the result, because Royal AM were also almost dragged into relegation because of a situation that in the boardroom. So I think that was very defining for me.
Yeah, season defining moments. Absolutely. And I think to add your point about Musa Nyatama, it's he deserves a lot of credit, because that's 2 seasons in a row where he's had to drag Swallows out of a very messy situation. And as you say, let's see whether he'll be rewarded for that. Let me get a refereeing moment. Your refereeing moment, Victor Luwan.
I don't know whether I'm speaking to a brush used by the barber shop.
I've been looking at that, Mike.
I've been looking. It's used by the barbers.
It's for makeup.
It's for painting. Titi, we had challenges. Firstly, it was penalties. 2, it was straight red cards. Offside was one of them. And when you look at VAR, when you introduce VAR only enters on 4 things. Goal or no goal, penalty or no penalty, straight red card, and mistaken identity. And if you look at all these 4, or the whole season, these are the most important challenges that we had throughout. And if VAR was introduced, it will have, arrested these situations. But then I'm happy that there's progress now. There's now movement in terms of getting VR in the country. I don't know whether it will be microwaved, where it will be quickly done, but we have several referees who have been trained. We have Akona, Zakele, Abongile Tom. We have been trained for VR. So if it's introduced maybe next year, for a starter, maybe in cup competitions, they can use those to now, have a feeling. And I believe after VAR is introduced, we won't have these complaints. It will be minimal, because...
The incidents that you mentioned are all from one game, are they?
No, different games.
Oh, okay.
Different games. We had we had, I can mention a lot of them where a player was supposed to be sent off, he was not sent off.
Right, that happened a lot.
But VAR will come in and assist. So hopefully now there's movement. SAFA and PSL are starting to meet, and next year we might see something. So
we need fit referees.
Let's
also
wait and see in that regard.
We need fit referees also, Tatana.
The fitness is, there's no problem. The problem is positioning. You need to be in the right position to see. So if you're in the wrong position, some are fit, they're in the right position, but they can't see.
I was about to say, an eye test.
So fitness and eye test.
So
Mele ba bamba
we need to
ma-fair
improve. That's why I said there's an area of improvement that the referees department need to now say what went wrong, what have we identified in the previous season that we need to improve. So the preseason, this season, should be focusing on more improvement in terms of all the areas that we were found wanting.
Okay. Let me, while we're talking refereeing, bring in Daniel Bennett. You also chose your moment, a refereeing moment. I wonder, how did you choose it? Was it because of how glaring the moment was, or how you think it was important in the bigger scheme of the game?
I think I chose this moment because we've even shown the same situation. Okay, laws of the game are clear in black and white. Shouldn't have been an offside, but we've shown it to various experts in the refereeing fraternity who don't agree with the decision that it's offside and not offside because of the players' movement and whatever. So there are various arguments supporting the decision and some not supporting the decision. My highlight was the fact that the assistant referee put the flag up for offside and it was clear. And it also,
maybe remind us what the incident was.
Sorry, it was the Swallows Sundowns match where there was a long ball played through and the defender clearly moved towards the ball and headed it, and it went to the striker from Swallows who went and scored. Rulani made a big noise saying he knew his laws of the game. There was actually a debate in the studio with Kevin Rocky Evans and Afzal Khan.
Yeah.
There was an actual debate, so it caused debate, and that's what I think that's what we like about football is there are situations where it causes debate. It's a beautiful game. Not everything's black and white. Sometimes there are grey areas, and you can show that same clip to this whole panel here, and 4 might say offside, and some might say not offside. Okay, the fact that the referee had the courage. This is what my highlight was. The referee, so the assistant put the flag up for offside, and the referee, you know, they waited to see what happened. They waited for the outcome of play. Then they actually had a debate and a discussion with it. The referee didn't just accept the flag from the AR. They went, they consulted. The referee didn't agree, and he overruled. And you know, that's not saying that should happen all the time. But at the end of the day, that Victor was talking about VAR. At the end of the day, I think the fans and the teams, the players deserve the right decision, the correct decision. And the fact that the referee overruled the AR with the flag and gave the goal was, for me, a very courageous moment on the referee's part. Because I think we tend to always just accept the flag all the time, the time for offside. Because referees can't see the position of the player. But the next step is the referee then has to determine, was it deliberate play, was it a deflection? You know, and there's communication when those offside decisions occur in the communication set where the assistant can say offside position, but the referee then has to determine, is there an offence? Is he interfering with play? Or an opponent will gain an advantage? And the fact that they had that consultation was a highlight for me because...
Awesome. Who was the referees?
It was Sisilana
and Jelly.
And Jelly Chivani was the referee.
Right.
So I think for him, it was brave of him to overrule. And not referees don't normally do that. They just accept the flag, but they had a discussion, they had a consultation, and for me the right decision was made, and the fans and the players got the right decision at the end of the day.
Yeah, because it is sometimes a bit of a cop-out for refs, isn't it? When
It
they
is,
say
yeah,
it was the assistants of it wasn't me.
Yeah.
The assistant made the call.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
And when it comes to offside, it happens too much. The assistant referees get 99% of the blame, but there should be, in the case where, in this situation, where there's a consultation, let's give a goal.
Yeah. Lovely said. Yeah.
You know, I think at times, as football supporters, we tend to forget that for a referee or even an assistant, that's a split-second decision. We generally have the leverage of, you know, the replay and the slow motion and so on and so forth. So it's always easy for you to say, no, the ref definitely got it wrong. But for them on the field of play, it's split-second. It could be wrong. It could be right. Sometimes it's 50-50.
Yeah. And that will be the case until we get VAR. Tell you what, this conversation could carry on forever. And we will carry it on. But we're going to press pause for now. So please be sure to come back and join us next time for part 2 of this 2023-2024 season review. I'll see you again for another installment of Diski Chats with Vodacom.